I think AI and biology can massively speed up the rate at which you gain muscle and strength. To prove this point, I prepared and built advanced algorithms for over 1 full year and put them all to the test in one 6-week showdown. How that went, you're gonna see in this video. If you're anything like me, you've probably been going to the gym for years at this point. You've been training hard, you've been eating right, you've been sleeping well, and yet you still get stuck quite often, whether it's a certain lift that doesn't want to move or whether you can't seem to be gaining any muscle. At this point, you do what everyone does. Probably go on social media, go on YouTube, you check out what your favorite YouTube creator says. Every year, there seems to be a new solution for your problems. High volume, low volume, high intensity, drop sets, lengthened partials, whatever really the trend of the moment is at that point in time. So you're excited about it, you want to try it out, and nothing happens. See, that's because most of these ideas come from studies that have A, very small sample sizes, B, short time horizons, C, they don't really understand why muscle adapts, or rather they don't really research that, and then D, worst of all, they usually optimize for the average outcome of a participant of a study. But are you precisely average? Well, probably not. And so I figured there has to be a smarter way to work out. A way that actually adapts to you as opposed to the other way around. One that can basically save you months or years in the gym experimenting, trying to find out what works for you. To build this, I collected real workout logs covering over 500,000 workout sets, spanning several hundred years of gym progression of several hundred different people. Then I built a custom AI algorithm that can predict how likely you are to progress from your training, and a web app to host it. Voila! After just a year of work, my idea came to reality. I called it MyBixer. To test whether this thing actually works or is just a nice thought experiment, I had it design a 6-week pull-up training program. Simple goal: add as much strength and muscle as possible during that time. Before starting, my pull-ups were notoriously weak. I was stuck at 20 kilos for 5 reps. For pretty much years, I had never really progressed beyond that. Now, the goal for the 6 weeks was very clear. I wanted to add 9 kilos or 20 pounds to my estimated 1 rep max. In terms of physique, I was okay. Nothing special, definitely not what you mostly see on social media. But I had gained a little bit of muscle over the last few years of training. But week 1 actually started very slow. The algorithm had me do pull-ups twice a week. One time with 3 sets and another time with 2 sets. What was quite different is that it also told me to do accessory work, especially quite a bit for my mid-back. Now, that's not something I'm really used to. Usually I was doing more of a minimalist approach, hitting sort of my compound lifts, and now I had sort of my pull-up sets, and then on top of that, a little bit of mid-back, a little bit of lat work. Another interesting thing is the algorithm actually had me stop my sets quite a bit shy of failure, especially in the first week. I was staying at mostly like 2, sometimes even 3 reps shy of failure. And I'm usually someone that oftentimes goes like all out on sets. So that was quite unusual to me. Now, week 2 is actually where things slightly started to pick up. So accessory volume went up a little bit, and then I started slowly feeling a little bit of a tightness in my left mid-back. Like between mid and low back. I didn't think much of it at first, and I just kept training. Now, that turned out to be quite a mistake. 2 workouts later, I couldn't move anymore. It's like everything literally hurt. Breathing hurt, sitting hurt, sleeping hurt. I wasn't even, I couldn't even think about actually working out. So that's what any reasonable person would do. I went to the internet to do some very serious research. And after consulting some generational wisdom on the matter,
I broke my back.
For a vertebrae or sure?
Spinal.
I actually found a random stranger on the internet that seems to have given the perfect advice for my problem. Let me introduce you to the most scientific source out there, J4 Agar 2. from Brisbane, Australia. He suggested that I do this banded needle pull through and stay away from heavy RDLs for a little bit. So that's exactly what I did, and just prayed that things would get better. Now by next week, it was actually clear that our boy Jagger came through, and it was amazing. I felt like I had a new pair of ribs, and with that, the weights were actually flying in the gym. Sets were going really smoothly. And with that, my confidence that, this whole thing could actually work out. Now going into week 4, volume was already high from before. Intensity was slowly going up as well. And I definitely started to feel the effects. So on top of that, I had an emergency that caused me to essentially push back the workouts, all of the workouts of that week, way back into the week. I didn't want to skip them, so I just crammed them into the same 3 or 4 days. Now that took quite a toll and was even more fatigued afterwards. But to my surprise, I actually hit a huge PR on one of those sets. And I even reached my goal early of increasing my estimated 1 rep max by 9 kilos or 20 pounds. Now, at that point, I thought, well, screw that goal. Like, if I already reached that in week 4, I want to see how far I can push the envelope. Like, I really want to go all out on this thing. I actually had a nice weekend off in Budapest at that time. Went there for a couple of days, relaxed, didn't train, had food, lots of food, and that break turned out to be timed perfectly. So I recovered quite a bit by that point. I got back into the gym in week 5. I managed to hit yet another PR, and then week 6 already came around, same thing, and then it was done. But with Christmas coming up, and with that, lots of food, time off, no stress, I knew that there was one more thing that I really wanted to go for. And so on the 28th of December, I decided to step back into the gym one final time to really see how far I've come over those 6 weeks. At this point, my fatigue was washed away. I was stress-free and injury-free, so there couldn't have been a better time for this. There was really only one question left. How far can science and engineering really take you? Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was quite nervous that day stepping into the gym, strapping the weights on. If you work on something for over a year, you really don't want to sort of watch that fall apart right in front of you, get proof that things aren't working. But I guess that's the deal with any real experiment. So put the weights on, stood up, put my hands to that bar, and started repping. And indeed, I got 5 reps. 5 reps with 30 kilos. Now, just 6 weeks ago, I was stuck at 5 reps with 20 kilos. And I had been there for months, if not years at a time, not knowing how to move beyond that, despite doing what I thought was everything that I should be doing. Training hard, eating right, all of those things. And now, within such a short period of time, I had blasted past that plateau and gained a huge new PR. Looking back, I made pretty great strength gains. But there's still the obvious follow-up question of, did I gain any muscle? Well, the answer to that is a bit more nuanced. Maybe. I gained around half a kilogram over the course of those 6 or 6.5 weeks. Overall, my lats and mid-back felt a tiny bit fuller by the end of it. Considering everything going on throughout the 6 weeks, lots of stress, injuries, life, I was actually more than happy with my results. But the algorithm still wasn't perfect. There were quite high volume prescriptions for accessories, especially towards the end. So I fixed that by adding a biology module that basically can tell you, are you actually adding more stimulus with the work that you're doing, or are you just adding more volume and thereby fatigue? The whole thing is based on lots of biophysics and biology research that has been done by some of the world's most leading university labs. If you made it to the end and you too are done guessing your way through training, feel free to hit the link in the description and check out MyXN. Also, feel free to subscribe. I'll be sharing what's going on with MyXN along the way, how we're building it, and where it is evolving to. Cheers.